Welcome back, everybody, to episode 15 of Sip, Read, Repeat. Can we talk about, though, how we've come a long way since April? Now, this may be episode 15, but that means there's been 30 weeks since the debut of Sip, Read, Repeat. So what's that? That's 4 divided by 30. That's 7 months. 7 months and 2 weeks. We've come a long way, y'all. And in those 7 months and 2 weeks, we have read 278 pages of Gone Girl. That's incredible. What a feat. So yeah, we're gonna keep going. I know I don't usually talk about much other things besides Sip Read Repeat, but I do hope you guys have been enjoying the short scary stories as they've come out, the latter half of this month. And yeah, today's drink from the chalice, of course, just some water. Stay hydrated, y'all. Uh, let's get started, shall we? Amy Elliot Dunne, 8 Days Gone. I am wet from the bumper boats. We got more than $5 worth of time because the two sun-stunned teenage girls would rather flip through gossip magazines and smoke cigarettes than try to herd us off the water. So we spent a good 30 minutes on our lawnmower motored propelled, say that 5 times fast, ships, ramming each other and turning wild twists, and then we got bored and left of our own accord. Greta, Jeff, and I, an odd crew in a strange place. Greta and Jeff have become good friends in just a day, which is how people do it here, where there's nothing else to do. I think Greta is deciding whether she'll make Jeff another of her disastrous mating choices. Jeff would like it. He prefers her. She is much prettier than I am, right now, in this place. Cheap pretty. She is wearing a bikini top and jean shorts with a spare shirt tucked into the back pocket for when she wants to enter a store. T-shirts, wood carvings, decorative rocks, or restaurant. Burgie. Burger, barbecue, taffy. She wants us to get Old West photos taken, but that's not going to happen for reasons aside from the fact that I don't want redneck lake person lice. We end up settling for a few rounds on a decrepit miniature golf course. The fake grass is torn off in patches. The alligators and windmills that once moved mechanically are still. Jeff does the honors instead, twirling the windmill, snapping open and shut the gator jaws. Some holes are simply unplayable. The grass rolled up like carpeting. The farmhouse, with its beckoning mouse hole, collapsed in on itself. So we roam between courses in no particular order. No one's even keeping score. This would have annoyed old Amy to no end, the haphazardness of it all, the pointlessness. But I'm learning to drift, and I do it quite well. I am overachieving at aimlessness. I am a type A alpha girl lollygagger, the leader of a gang of heartbroken kids running wild across this lonely strip of amusements, each of us smarting from the betrayals of a loved one. I catch Jeff, cuckolded, divorced, complicated custody arrangement, furrowing his brow as we pass a love tester, squeeze the metal grip and watch the temperature rise from just a fling to soulmate. The odd equation, a crushing clutch means true love. Reminds me of poor smacked around Greta, who often places her thumb over the bruise on her chest like it's a button she can push. You're up, Greta says to me. She's drying her ball off on her shorts. Twice she's gone into that cesspool of dirty water. I get in position, wiggle once or twice, and putt my bright red ball straight into the birdhouse opening. It disappears for a second, then reappears at a chute and into the hole. Disappear, reappear. I feel a wave of anxiety. Everything reappears at some point, even me. I am anxious because I think my plans have changed. I have changed plans only twice so far. The first was the gun. I was going to get a gun, and then on the morning I disappeared, I was going to shoot myself. Nowhere dangerous. Through a calf or a wrist. I would leave behind a bullet with my flesh and blood on it. A struggle occurred. Amy was shot. But then I realized this is a little too macho, even for me. It would hurt for weeks, and I don't love pain. My sliced arm feels better now, thank you very much. But I still liked the idea of a gun. It made for a nice MacGuffin. Not Amy was shot, but Amy was scared. So I dolled myself up and went to the mall on Valentine's Day so I'd be remembered. I couldn't get one, but it's not a big deal as far as change plans go. The other one is considerably more extreme. I have decided I'm not going to die. I have the discipline to kill myself, but can't stomach the injustice. It's not fair that I have to die. Not really die. I don't want to. I'm not the one who did anything wrong. The problem now, though, is money. It's so ludicrous that all these things, or that of all things, it's money that should be an issue for me. But I have only a finite amount, $9,132 at this point. I will need more. This morning I went to chat with Dorothy, as always holding a handkerchief so as not to leave fingerprints. I told her it was my grandmother's. I tried to give her a vague impression of Southern wealth gone to squander, very Blanche Dubois. I leaned against her desk as she told me, in great bureaucratic detail, about a blood thinner she can't afford. The woman is an encyclopedia of denied pharmaceuticals. And then I said, just to test the situation, I know what you mean. I'm not sure where I'm going to get rent for my cabin for another week or two, or after another week or two. She blinked at me and blinked back toward the TV set, a game show where people screamed and cried a lot. She took a grandmotherly interest in me. She'd certainly let me stay on, indefinitely. The cabins were half empty, no harm. You better get a job then, Dorothy said, not turning away from the TV. A contestant made a bad choice. The prize was lost. A wah-wah sound voiced her pain. A job like what? What kind of job can I get around here? Cleaning? Babysitting? Basically, I was supposed to be a housewife for pay. Irony enough for a million hang in there posters. It's true that even in our lowly misery state, I didn't ever have to actually budget. Missouri, not misery, by the way. I couldn't go out and buy a new car just because I wanted to, but I never had to think about the day-to-day stuff. Coupon clipping and buying generic and knowing how much milk costs off the top of my head. My parents never bothered teaching me this, and so they left me unprepared for the real world. For instance, when Greta complained that the convenience store at the marina charged $5 for a gallon of milk, I winced because the kid there always charged me $10. I thought that seemed like a lot, but it hadn't occurred to me the little pimply teenager just threw out a number to see if I'd pay. So I'd budgeted, but my budget, guaranteed according to the internet to last me 6 to 9 months, is clearly off. And so I am off. When we're done with golf, I win. Of course I do. I know because I'm keeping score in my head. We go to the hot dog stand next door for lunch, and I slip around the corner to dig into my zippered money belt under my shirt. And when I glance back, Greta has followed me. She catches me right before I can stuff the thing away. Ever heard of a purse money bag? She cracks. This will be an ongoing problem. A person on the run needs lots of cash, but a person on the run by definition has nowhere to keep the cash. Thankfully, Greta doesn't press the issue. She knows we are both victims here. We sit in the sun on a metal picnic bench and eat hot dogs, white buns wrapped around cylinders of phosphate with relish so green it looks toxic. And it may be the greatest thing I've ever eaten, because I am dead, Amy, and I don't care. Guess what Jeff found in his cabin for me, Greta says. Another book by the Martian Chronicle guy. Ray Bradbury, Jeff says. Bradbury, I think. Yeah, right. Something wicked this way comes, Greta says. It's good. She chirps the last bit as if that were all to say about a book. It's good or it's bad. I liked it or I didn't. No discussions of the writing, the themes, the nuances, the structure. Just good or bad. Like a hot dog. I read it when I first moved there, Jeff says. It is good. Creepy. He catches me watching him and makes a goblin face, all crazy eyes and leering tongue. He isn't my type. The fur on the face is too bristly. He does suspicious things with fish, but he is nice looking. Attractive. His eyes are very warm, not like Nick's frozen blues. I wonder if I might like sleeping with him. A nice slow screw with his body pressed against mine and his breath in my ear, the bristles on my cheeks, not the lonely way Nick fucks, where our bodies barely connect. Right angled from behind, L-shaped from the front, and then he's out of bed almost immediately, hitting the shower, leaving me pulsing in his wet spot. Cat got your tongue, Jeff says. He never calls by my name. He never calls me by name, as if to acknowledge that we both know that I've lied. He says this lady or a pretty woman or you. I wonder what he would call me in bed. Baby, maybe. Just thinking. Uh-oh, he says and smiles again. You were thinking about a boy. I can tell, Greta says. Maybe. I thought we were steering clear of the assholes for a while, she said. Tend to our chickens. Last night after Ellen Abbott, I was too excited to go home, so we shared a six-pack and imagined our recluse life as the token straight girls on Greta's mother's lesbian compound, raising chickens and hanging laundry to dry in the sun, the objects of gentle platonic courtship from older women with gnarled knuckles and indulgent laughs, denim and corduroy and clogs and never worrying about makeup or hair or nails, breast size or hip size, or having to pretend to be the understanding wifey, the supportive girlfriend who loves everything her man does. Not all guys are assholes, Jeff says. Greta makes a non-committal noise. We return to our cabins, liquid-limbed. I feel like a water balloon left in the sun. All I want to do is sit under my sputtering window air conditioner and blast my skin with the cool while watching TV. I found a rerun channel that shows nothing but old 70s and 80s shows, Quincy and The Love Boat and Eight is Enough. But first comes Ellen Abbott, my new favorite show. Nothing new, nothing new. Ellen doesn't mind speculating, believe me. She's hosted an array of strangers from my past who swear they are my friends, and they all have lovely things to say about me, even the ones who never much liked me. Post-life fondness. Knock on the door, and I know I know it will be Greta and Jeff. I switch off the TV, and there they are on my doorstep, aimless. What you doing? Jeff asks. Reading. I lie. He sets down a six-pack of beer on my counter, Greta patting him behind. Oh, I thought we had the TV. Three is literally a crowd in these small cabins. They are blocking the door for a second, sending a pulse of nervousness through me. Why are they blocking the door? And then they keep moving, and they are blocking the bedside table. Inside my bedside table is my money belt, packed with $8,000 in cash, hundreds, fifties, and $20 bills. The money belt is hideous, flesh-colored and bunchy. I can't possibly wear all my money at once. I leave some scattered around the cabin, but I try to wear most, and when I do, I am as conscious of it as a girl at the beach with a maxi pad. A perverse part of me enjoys spending money because every time I pull off a wad of 20s, that's less money to hide to worry about being stolen or lost. Jeff clicks on the TV, and Ellen Abbott and Amy buzz into focus. He nods, smiles to himself. Wanna watch Amy? Greta asks. I can't tell if she used a comma. Wanna watch Amy or wanna watch Amy? Nah, Jeff, why don't you grab your guitar and we can sit on the porch? Jeff and Greta exchange a look. Aw, but that's what you were watching, right? Greta says. She points at the screen. It's me and Nick at a benefit. Me in a gown, my hair pulled back in a chignon, and I look more like I look now with my short hair. It's boring, I say. Oh, I don't think it's boring at all, Greta says and flops down on my bed. I think what a fool I am to have let these two people inside, to have assumed I could control them when they are feral creatures, people used to finding the angle, exploiting the weakness, always needing, whereas I am new to this, needing. Those people who keep backyard pumas and living room chimps, these must be how they feel when their adorable pet rips them open. You know what? Would you guys mind? I feel kind of crummy. Too much sun, I think. They look surprised and a little offended, and I wonder if I've got it wrong, that they are harmless and I'm just paranoid. I like to believe that. Sure, of course, Jeff says. They shuffle out my cabin, Jeff grabbing his beer on the way. A minute later, I hear Ellen Abbott snarling from Greta's cabin. The accusatory questions. Why did? Why didn't? How can you explain? Why did I ever let myself get friendly with anyone here? Why didn't I keep to myself? How can I explain my actions if I'm found out? I can't be discovered. If I were ever found, I'd be the most hated woman on the planet. I'd go from being the beautiful, kind, doomed, pregnant victim of a selfish, cheating bastard to being the bitter bitch who exploited the good hearts of all of America's citizens. Ellen Abbott would devote show after show to me. Angry callers venting their hate. This is just another example of a spoiled rich girl doing what she wants, when she wants, and not thinking of anyone else's feelings. Ellen. Or anyone else's feelings, Ellen. I think she should disappear for life. In prison. Like that. It would go like that. I've read conflicting internet information on the penalties for faking a death or framing a spouse for said death, but I know the public opinion would be brutal. No matter what I do, no matter what I do after that, feed orphans, cuddle lepers. When I died, I'd be known as that woman who faked her death and framed her husband. You remember. I can't allow it. Hours later, I am still awake, thinking in the dark. When my door rattles, a gentle bang, Jeff's bang. I debate, then open it, ready to apologize for my rudeness before. He's tugging on his beard, staring at my doormat, then looks up with amber eyes. Dorothy said you were looking for work, he said. Yeah, I guess. I am. I got something tonight. Pay you $50. Amy Elliot Dunne wouldn't leave her cabin for $50, but Lydia and or Nancy needs work. I have to say yes. A couple of hours, $50, he shrugs. Doesn't make any difference to me. Just thought I'd offer. What is it? Fishing. I was positive Jeff would drive a pickup, but he guides me to a shiny Ford hatchback, a heartbreaking car, the car of the new college grad with big plans and a modest budget, not the car of a grown man should be driving. I am wearing my swimsuit under my sundress as instructed. Not the bikini, the full one. Not the bikini, the full one, the one you can really swim in, Jeff intoned. I'd never noticed him anywhere near the pool, but he knew my swimwear cold, which was flattering and alarming at the same time. He leaves the windows down as we drive through the forested hills, the gravel dust coating my stubby hair. It feels like something from a country music video, the girl in the sundress leaning out to catch the breeze of a red state summer night. I can see the stars. Jeff hums off and on. He parks down the road from a restaurant that hangs out on stilts over the lake, a barbecue place known for its giant souvenir cups of boozy drinks with bad names, gator juice and bassmouth blitz. I know this from the discarded cups that float along the shores of the lake, cracked and neon colored with the restaurant's logo, Catfish Carl's. Catfish Carl's has a deck that overhangs the water. Diners can load up on handfuls of kitty kibble from the crank machines and drop them into the gaping mouths of hundreds of giant catfish that wait below. That sounds fire. What exactly are we going to do, Jeff? You net him, I kill him. He gets out the car, and I follow him around to the hatchback, which is filled with coolers. We put them in here, on ice, resell them. Resell them. Who buys stolen fish? Jeff smiles that lazy cat smile. I got a clientele of sorts. And then I realize he isn't a Grizzly Adams guitar-playing, peace-loving granola guy at all. He is a redneck thief who wants to believe that he's more complicated than that. He pulls out a net, a box of 9 lives, and a stained plastic bucket. I have absolutely no intention of being part of this illicit peace sign, piskin economy. Oh well, but I am fairly interested. How many women can say they were part of a fish smuggling ring? I am game. I have become game again since I died. All the things I disliked or feared, all the limits I had, they'd slid off me. I can do pretty much anything. A ghost has that freedom. That's a bar. We all walk down the hill. I don't know where I'm getting these extra words from. We walk down the hill, under the deck of Catfish Carl's and onto the docks, which float slurpily on the wakes of a passing motorboat, Jimmy Buffett blaring. Jeff hands me a net. We need this to be quick. You just jump in the water, scoop the net in, nab the fish, then tilt the net up to me. It'll be heavy, though, and squirmy, so be prepared. And don't scream or nothing. I won't scream, but I don't want to go in the water. I can do it from the deck. You should take off your dress at least. You'll ruin it. I'm okay. He looks annoyed for a moment. He's the boss, I'm the employee, and so far I'm not listening to him. But then he turns around, modestly, and tugs off his shirt and hands me the box of cat food without fully facing me, as if he's shy. I hold the box with this narrow mouth over the water, and immediately 100 shiny arched backs roll toward me. A mob of serpents, the tails cutting across the surface furiously, and then the mouths are below me. the fish roiling over each other to swallow the pellets, and then, like trained pets, aiming their faces up toward me for more. I scoop the net into the middle of the pack and sit down hard on the dock to get leverage to pull the harvest up. When I yank the net, when I yank the net, When I yank, the net is full of half a dozen whiskery, slick catfish, all frantically trying to get back in the water, their gaping lips opening and shutting between the squares of nylon, their collective tugging making the net wobble up and down. Can I be honest? I can't envision what a catfish actually looks like. But in my head, for some reason, I'm thinking of the Pokemon, and I think his name is Whiscash. I could be wrong, but this is what I envision for this catfish. And I know I'm wrong, but that's just what my head sees. Let's continue. Lift it up, girl. Lift it up. I push a knee below the net's handle and let it dangle there. Jeff reaching in, grabbing a fish with two hands, each encased in terry cloth manicure gloves for better grip. He moves his hands down around the tail, then swings the fish like a cajole, smashing its head on the side of the dock. Blood explodes. A brief, sharp pelt of it streaks across my legs. A hard chunk of meat hits my hair. Jeff throws the fish in the bucket and grabs another with assembly line smoothness. We work in grunts and wheezes for half an hour, 4 nets full, until my arms turn rubbery and the ice chests are full. Jeff takes the empty pail and fills it with warm water from the lakes, pours it across the messy entrails and into the fish pens. The catfish gobble up the guts of their fallen brethren. The dock is left clean. He pours one last pail of water across our bloody feet. Why do you have to smash them, I ask. Can't stand to watch him suffer, he says. Quick dunk? I'm okay, I say. Not in my car, you're not. Come on, quick dunk. You have more crap in you than you realize. We run off the dock toward the rocky beach nearby. While I wade ankle deep in the water, Jeff runs with giant splashy footsteps and throws himself forward, arms wild. As soon as he's far enough out, I unhook my money belt and fold my sundress around it, leave it at the water's edge and my glasses on top. I lower myself until I feel the warm water hit my thighs, my belly, my neck. Then I hold my breath and go under. I swim far and fast underwater. I swim far and fast, stay underwater longer than I should to remind myself what it would feel like to drown. I know I could do it if I needed to. And when I come up with a single disciplined gasp, I see Jeff lapping rapidly towards shore. And I have to swim fast as a porpoise back to my money belt and scramble onto the rocks just ahead of him. So you're trying to rob her, it seems. You really can't trust anybody, can you? Okay. Nick Dunne, 8 days gone. As soon as I hung up with Tommy, I phoned Hillary Handy. If my murder of Amy was a lie, and Tommy O'Hara's rape of Amy was a lie, why not Hillary Handy's stalking of Amy? Man is thinking he's using that big old brain. A sociopath must cut her teeth somewhere, like the Astor marble halls of Wickshire Academy. When she picked up, I blurted, "This is Nick Dunne, Amy Elliot's husband. I really need to talk to you." Why? I really need more information about your, don't say friendship. I heard an angry grin in her voice. No, I wouldn't. I just want to hear your side. I am not calling because I think you've got anything to do with my wife, her situation, currently. But I would really like to hear what happened, the truth, because I think you may be able to shed a light on a pattern of behavior of Amy's. What kind of pattern? When very bad things happen to people who upset her. Let me drink some water. I'm getting a little dry mouth here. All this yapping. She breathed heavily into the phone. 2 days ago, I wouldn't have talked to you, she started. But then I was having a drink with some friends, and the TV was on, and you came on, and it was about Amy being pregnant. Everyone I was with, they were so angry at you. They hated you. And I thought, I know how that feels. Because she's not dead, right? I mean, she's still just missing. No body? That's right. So let me tell you about Amy in high school and what happened. Hold on. On her end, I could hear cartoons playing, rubbery voices and calliope music. Then suddenly not. Then whining voices. Go watch downstairs. Downstairs, please. So, freshman year, I'm the kid from Memphis. Everyone else is East Coast, I swear. It felt weird, different, you know? All the girls at Wickshire, it was like they'd been raised communally. The lingo, the clothes, the hair. And it wasn't like I was a pariah, I was just insecure for sure. Amy was already the girl. Like, first day, I remember everyone knew her. Everyone was talking about her. She was Amazing Amy. We'd all read those books growing up. Plus, she was just gorgeous. I mean, she was, yeah, I know, right. And pretty soon, she was showing an interest in me, like taking me under her wing or wherever. She had this joke that she was Amazing Amy, so I was her sidekick Susie, and she started to call me Susie, and pretty soon everyone else did too, which was fine by me. I mean, I was a little toady. Get Amy a drink if she was thirsty, throw in a little laundry if she needed clean underwear. Hold on. Again, I could hear the shuffle of her hair against the receiver. Mary Beth had brought every Elliot photo album with her in case we needed more pictures. She showed me a photo of Amy and Hillary, cheek to cheek grins, so I could picture Hillary now, the same butter blonde hair as my wife, framing a plainer face with muddy hazel eyes. Jason, I am on the phone. Just give them a few popsicles. It's not that dang hard. Sorry, our kids are out of school, and my husband never ever takes care of them, so he seems a little confused by what to do for the 10 minutes I'm on the phone with you. Sorry. So, right, I was little Susie, and we had this game going, and for a few months, August, September, October, it was great. Like, intense friendship. We were together all the time. Then a few weird things happened at once that I knew kind of bothered her. What? A guy from our brother's school. He meets us both at the fall dance, and the next day he calls me instead of Amy, which I'm sure he did because Amy was too intimidating, but whatever. And then a few days later, our midterm grades come in, and mine are slightly better, like 4.1 versus 4.0. And not long after, one of our friends, she invites me to spend Thanksgiving with her family. Me, not Amy. Again, I'm sure this was because Amy intimidated people. She wasn't easy to be around. You felt all the time like you had to impress. But I can feel things change just a little. I can tell she's really irritated, even though she doesn't admit it. Instead, she starts getting me to do things. I don't realize it at the time, but she starts setting me up. She asks me if I can she asks if she can color my hair the same blonde as hers because mine's mousy and it'll look so nice a brighter shade. And she starts complaining about her parents. I mean, she's always complaining about her parents, but now she really gets going on them. How they only love her as an idea and not really for who she is. So she says she wants to mess with her parents. She has me start prank calling her house, telling her parents I'm the new Amazing Amy. We take the train into New York some weekends, and she told me to stand outside their house. One time, she had me run up to her mom and tell her I was going to get rid of Amy and be her new Amy, or some crap like that. And you did it? It was just dumb stuff girls do. Back before cell phones and cyberbullying, a way to kill time. We did prank stuff like that all the time. Just dumb stuff. Try to one up each other on how daring and freaky we could be. Then what? Then she starts distancing herself. She gets cold, and I think that she doesn't like me anymore. Girls at school start looking at me funny. I'm shut out of the cool circle. Fine. But then one day, I'm called in to see the mistress. Amy has had a horrible accident. Twisted ankle, fractured arm, cracked ribs. Amy has fallen down this long set of stairs, and she says it was me who pushed her. Hold on. Go back downstairs now. Go downstairs. Go downstairs. Sorry, I'm back. Never have kids. So Amy said you pushed her? I asked. Yeah, because I was crazy. I was obsessed with her and I wanted to be Susie. And then being Susie wasn't enough. I had to be Amy. And she had all the evidence that she had me create over the past few months. Her parents, obviously, had seen me lurking around the house. I theoretically accosted her mom. My hair dyed blonde and the clothes I bought that matched Amy's, clothes I bought while shopping with her, but I couldn't prove that. All her friends came in, explained how Amy for the past month had been so frightened of me. All this shit. I looked totally insane. Completely insane. Her parents got a restraining order on me, and I kept swearing it wasn't me. But by then I was so miserable that I wanted to leave school anyway. So we didn't fight the expulsion. I wanted to get away from her by that time. I mean, the girl cracked her own ribs. I was scared. This little 15-year-old, she pulled this off, fooled friends, parents, and teachers. And this was all because of a boy and some grades and a Thanksgiving invitation? About a month after I moved back to Memphis, I got a letter. It wasn't signed, it was typed, but it was obviously Amy. It was a list of all the ways I'd let her down. Crazy stuff. Forgot to wait for me after English twice. Forgot I am allergic to strawberries twice. Jesus. But I feel like the real reason wasn't even on there. What was the real reason? I feel like Amy wanted people to believe she really was perfect. And as we got to be friends, I got to know her. She wasn't perfect, you know? She was brilliant and charming and all that, but she was controlling and OCD and a drama queen and a bit of a liar, which was fine by me. It just wasn't fine by her. She got rid of me because I knew she wasn't perfect. It made me wonder about you. About me? Why? Friends see most of each other's flaws. Spouses see every awful last bit. If she punished a friend of a few months by throwing herself down a flight of stairs, what would she do to a man who was dumb enough to marry her? I hung up as one of Hillary's kids picked up the second extension and began singing a nursery rhyme. I immediately phoned Tanner and relayed my conversations with Hillary and Tommy. So we have a couple of stories. Great, Tanner said. This will really be great. In a way that told me it wasn't that great. Have you heard from Andy? I hadn't. I have one of my people waiting for her at her apartment building, he said. Discreet. I didn't know you had people. What we really need is to find Amy, he said, ignoring me. Girl like that, I can't imagine she'd be able to stay hidden for too long. You have any thoughts? I kept picturing her on a posh hotel balcony near the ocean, wrapped in a white robe, thick as a rug, sipping a very good Montrachet. That sounds fancy. I think that's a wine. While she tracked my ruin on the internet, on cable and in the tabloids, while she enjoyed the endless coverage of the exultation, I don't know, of Amy Elliot Dunne, attending her own funeral. I wondered if she was self-aware enough to realize she'd stolen a page from Mark Twain. I picture her near the ocean, I said. Then I stopped, feeling like a boardwalk psychic. No, I have no ideas. She could literally be anywhere. I don't think we'll see her unless she decides to come back. That seems unlikely, Tanner breathed, annoyed. So let's try to find Andy and see where her head is. We're running out of wiggle room here. Then it was dinner time, and then the sun set, and I was alone again in my haunted house. I was thinking about all of Amy's lies and whether the pregnancy was one of them. I'd done the math. Amy and I had sex sporadically enough it was possible, but then she would know I'd do the math. Truth or lie? If it was a lie, it was designed to gut me. I'd always assumed that Amy and I would have children. It was one of the reasons I knew I would marry Amy, because I pictured us having kids together. I remember the time I imagined it, not 2 months after we began dating. I was walking from my apartment in Kips Bay to a favorite pocket park along the East River, a path that took me past the giant Lego block of the United Nations headquarters, the flags of myriad countries fluttering in the wind. A kid would like this, I thought. All the different colors, the busy memory game of matching each flag to its country. There's Finland, and then there's New Zealand. The one-eyed smile of Moratiana. And then I realized it wasn't a kid, but our kid. Mine and Amy's, who would like this. Our kid, sprawled on the floor with an old encyclopedia, just like I'd done. But our kid wouldn't be alone. I'd be sprawled next to him, aiding him in his budding vexillology, which sounds less like a study of flags than a study in annoyance. Ah, for real. Oh, sorry. Which would have suited my father's attitude toward me, but not mine toward my sons. I pictured Amy joining us on the floor, flat on her stomach, her feet kicked up in the air, pointing out Palau, the yellow dot just left of the center on the crisp blue background, which I was sure would be her favorite. From then on, the boy was real, and sometimes a girl, but mostly a boy. He was inevitable. I suffered from regular, insistent paternal aches. Months after the wedding, I had a strange moment in front of the medicine cabinet, floss between my teeth, and I thought, she wants kids, right? I should ask. Of course I should ask. When I posed the question, roundabout, vague, she said, of course, someday. But every morning, she still perched in front of the sink and swallowed her pill. For 3 years, she did this every morning, while I flirted near the topic but failed to say the actual words. I want us to have a baby. After the layoffs, it seemed like it might happen. Suddenly, there was an uncontestable space in our lives, and one day over breakfast, Amy looked up from her toast and said, I'm off the pill. Just like that. She was off the pill 3 months, and nothing happened. And not long after the move to Missouri, she made an appointment for us to start the medical intervention. Once Amy started a project, she didn't like to dilly-dally. We'll tell them we've been trying a year, she said. Foolishly, I agreed. We were barely ever touching each other by then, but we still thought a kid made sense. Sure. You'll have to do your part too, you know, she said in the drive to St. Louis. You'll have to give semen. I know. Why do you say it like that? I just figured you'd be too proud, self-conscious and proud. I was a rather nasty cocktail of both of those traits. But at the fertility center, I dutifully entered the strange small room dedicated to self-abuse, a place where hundreds of men had entered for no other purpose than to crank the shaft, clean the rifle, jerk the gherkin, make the bald man cry, pound the flounder, sail the mayonnaise seas, wiggle the walrus, whitewash with Tom and Huck. All those sound disgusting, by the way. I sometimes use humor as a self-defense. Sail the mayonnaise seas is probably the most vile sentence I've ever heard in my entire life. I just want to put that on record. The room contained a vinyl-covered armchair, a TV, and a table that held a grab bag of porn and a box of tissues. The porn was early 90s, judging from the woman's hair. Yes, top and bottom. And the action was mediocre. Mid-core. Another good essay. Who selects the porn for fertility centers? Who judges what will get men off, yet not be too degrading to all the women outside the cum room, the nurses and doctors and hopeful hormone-addled wives? I visited the room on 3 separate occasions. They like to have a lot of backup. Well, Amy did nothing. She was supposed to begin taking pills, but she didn't. And then she didn't some more. She was the one who'd be pregnant, the one who turned over her body to the baby. So I postponed nudging her for a few months, keeping an eye on the pill bottle to see if the level went down. Finally, after a few beers one winter night, I crunched up the steps of our home, shed my snow-crusted clothes, and curled up next to her in bed, my face near her shoulder, breathing her in, warming the tip of my nose on her skin. I whispered the words, "Let's do this, Amy. Let's have a baby." And she said no. I was expecting nervousness, caution, worry. Nick, will I be a good mom? But I got a clipped, cold no. A no without loopholes. Nothing dramatic, no big deal, just not something she was interested in anymore. Because I realized I'd be stuck doing all the hard stuff, she reasoned. All the diapers and doctor's appointments and discipline, and you just breeze in and be fun daddy. I do all the work to make them good people, and you undo it anyway. And they love you and hate me. I told Amy it wasn't true, but she didn't believe me. I told her I didn't just want a child, I needed a child. I had to know I could love a person unconditionally, that I could make a little creature feel constantly welcome and wanted no matter what, that I could be a different kind of father than my dad was, that I could raise a boy who wasn't like me. I begged her. Amy remained unmoved. A year later, I got a notice in the mail. The clinic would dispose of my semen unless they'd heard from us. I left the letter on the dining room table, an open rebuke. 3 days later, I saw it in the trash. That was our final communication on the subject. By then, I'd secretly been dating Andy for months, so I had no right to be upset. But it didn't stop my aching, and it didn't stop me from daydreaming about our boy, mine and Amy's. So I got attached to him. The fact was, Amy and I would make a great child. I'm kind of cheating a bit. I'm not going to lie to you guys. Hold on. I'm going to stop there. We're going to pause right here. And I'll be honest, transparency. One, I'm a little tired. I ain't gonna lie. And I can feel myself slipping as I'm reading this story. And I want to make sure I can still give all the energy. And two, actually, there's no two. I'm just tired. And I don't have the energy to give that I know that you guys deserve. So we're going to pause it right there. We made some really good headway today, I think. But yeah. Until next time, y'all. That's all I got. I'm losing my mind. I ain't going to bed. Peace.